All right, everybody, welcome back to First Team Fantasy. We have another episode here where we are giving a recap of the Thursday night game. Then we will have a special surprise, the injury report, and then the previews of the full Sunday slate as well as the Monday night game. To kick it off, the Bengals did travel to Baltimore and lose to the Ravens, much to Schiff's happiness, 34-20. And although it was a fantastic win for the Ravens, both the Bengals and the Ravens sadly suffered fairly significant injuries. It will obviously affect the Bengals more than the Ravens, only because the Bengals starting quarterback Joe Burrow tore ligaments in his wrist and will be out for the rest of the season. I am sorry, Bengal fans. RIP to your 2023 season and possibly T. Higgins on your football team. It's sad. Joe Burrow, when he played, was having a solid game. He was 11 for 17 for 101 yards and a touchdown, one carry for 7 yards. He had 8.74 fantasy points, played 44% of snaps before the injury. And now, someone somewhat local to us, Jake Browning, Folsom High School's finest, is at least slated to start. We saw the Bengals are working out Joe Flacco, but it's sad. It's a sad time. But Jake,
wait, was that the Bengals or the Browns?
That was the Browns. I misspoke. That was the Browns working out
good.
Joe Flacco.
Still an AFC North team, not the Ravens working out Joe Flacco.
So the Bengals will be rolling with Jake Browning for the rest of the season, it seems. He was 8 for 14, 68 yards, a touchdown, 4 carries, 40 yards, 10.72 fantasy points, played the other 56% of snaps. I mean, those stats don't look terrible, but I'm looking at 68 passing yards in over half the game. This offense as a whole will take a huge hit without Joe Burrow. Joe Mixon had a very solid game. He was 16 for 69, 5 targets through the air, caught all 5, 31 yards, a touchdown, 21 fantasy points. If there was a guy, I don't want to say that's going to benefit from the Joe Burrow injury, it's going to be Joe Mixon, only because you'd assume that they're going to be running the ball even more than normal.
And he will probably be catching more passes.
Yeah, more dump-offs out the backfield, absolutely. Jamar Chase, like last time against Baltimore, held in check yet again, was targeted 7 times, caught 2 of them, 12 yards, a touchdown, 9.2 fantasy points. You know, we'll go more in depth with how this injury is going to affect them going forward when we're previewing the next week. We'll have to see if the Bengals look to possibly bring someone else in for a workout or if it is just going to be Jake Browning, so we're going to have to wait on that. But
just a note on the Jamar Chase thing. The final regular season stats for Jamar Chase against the Marlon Humphrey-less Ravens in 2023. 2 games, 7 receptions, 43 yards, and 1 touchdown.
Yeah. It was not...
I mean, obviously, large in part due to the fact that Joe Burrow missed half of the game. And you could, say largely in part in the first game because Joe Burrow was not 100%. Although T. Higgins had a pretty good game.
Yeah, he did. And we talked about in the preview, even without Marlon Humphrey, I assumed the Ravens defense would lock in on Jamar Chase, make someone else beat them, and they did a very good job of doing that. Tyler Boyd, really all the Bengals receivers were fairly disappointing in this one. Tyler Boyd had 6 targets, caught 3, 22 yards, 5.2 fantasy points. Trent Irwin, 5 targets, caught 3, 36 yards, 6.6 fantasy points. The leading receiver for the Bengals was Tanner Hudson. 4 catches, 49 yards on 4 targets, 8.9 fantasy points, only played 34% of snaps. It was an ugly week. If you had Joe Burrow, if you had Jamar Chase, if you started Tyler Boyd, if you started Joe Mixon, you're happy. But any of the other Bengals other than Joe Mixon and Evan McPherson, he had a solid day kicking. But outside of that, it was not a good fantasy day for Bengals owners.
No. I mean, being a Ravens fan, obviously you love to see us go 2-0 against them in the regular season. Puts us at 8-3, 10 days before the Chargers game. Great position in the AFC North and in the AFC in general. But yeah, the loss of Mark Andrews is what I want to start with. That is huge. He cracked his fibula and has ligament damage in his ankle. Very unlikely that he will even make it back for the playoffs, no matter how deep the Ravens make it. So wishing him the best, as well as I'm wishing Joe Burrow the best. Hopefully both of them
Yeah.
can make speedy recoveries, both very electric players and important to the game of football. I mean, they bring in viewers.
Yeah.
But yeah, aside from that, the Ravens had been, they put up some stat with Mark Andrews in the game. Lamar had done this, and that, and without him, they'd done absolutely nothing. They scored 7 points with him in, and after he went out, they proceeded to score 27. So it is still obviously very possible for the Ravens to get it done without Mark Andrews. This is not a Ravens team of the past where we're looking at, Willie Snead and Seth Roberts as the guys to fall back upon with, Devontae Freeman and Latavius Murray in the backfield. This is an actual team, and the Ravens should be able to continue to produce.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson did have a good game in this one, despite Gus getting another 2 goal line touchdowns. Lamar is 16 for 26, 264 yards, 2 touchdowns in the air, 9 rushing attempts for 54 yards, putting him, we'll call it 24 points, is right below, like 23.98.
Yeah.
Gus Edwards only playing 38% of the snaps. Like we talk about, you're never going to see one of the Ravens running backs be on the field for a majority of the game.
Yeah.
Gus got 38% of the snaps, 25, and Mitchell got 36% of the snaps, 24. Gus and his work got 12 attempts for 62 yards and 2 touchdowns, caught 2 passes for 8 yards, giving him a solid 21 points.
Mm-hmm.
You love to see that. Gus Edwards will continue to be, it's, kind of like a Jamal Williams thing. They get down to the goal line, he's going to get in. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Keaton Mitchell, a little more disappointing in this one. In the first half, he was at negative yardage, was able to still end positive and somehow, finish slightly efficient, 8 for 33. Also caught 1 pass for 8 yards, giving him 5.1 points. Like I said, I was kind of pumping the brakes on starting him this week. If you were in deeper formats, I didn't really mind it. And also deeper formats, 5.1 points will not really kill you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm much more excited like next week against the Chargers. I have a full 10 days of game planning ahead of that. And I think he should be good to go in that one. Justice Hill has fallen by the wayside with the emergence of Keaton Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
Only played 26% of the snaps, 1 attempt for 1 yard, 1 target that he caught for 6 yards, giving him 1.7 points. I mean, there's no real point in holding on to Justice Hill in fantasy. If something were to happen to one of the Ravens running backs, then they'll be available on the waivers, but not really worth holding a roster spot.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews was having a great game before he went out. Caught his first 2 passes for 23 yards, giving him 4.3 points. And not going to sit and elaborate on it. The hip drop tackle by Logan Wilson, something that the NFL is trying to get rid of. It was an unfortunate tackle. Hopefully Mark can heal up fast and be back good for us next season. With him out, the guy likely to step up is Isaiah Likely. Unfortunately, in this one, his hands weren't working. He dropped both of his targets, but he was out there for 74% of the snaps. It will be him and Charlie Collar. Collar, who caught his 1 target for 13 yards, was only out there for 17% of the snaps. It's clear that Likely has more rapport with this team. He's played with Lamar. He will be the guy getting a majority of the tight end snaps, but if he should continue to drop passes, then Charlie Collar might be a guy to look out for.
Yeah.
Zay Flowers had a pretty decent game. Should have been an amazing game, but a long touchdown got called back on a pansy holding call. Therefore, he ended with 3 catches on 4 targets for 43 yards and had 1 rush attempt for 7 yards, giving him 8 points flat. Not the best, but not the worst.
Yeah.
Surely better than if you started like Tyler Boyd.
Yeah.
But Odell. He is back, just like I said in our very last podcast. No, he is not Giants Odell, but this version of Odell, I'll take it. 4 catches on 7 targets for 116 yards, 15.6 points. He's getting it done. He's drawing deep pass interferences. It's great. Like I said, this team should be fine. If Odell and the rest of the lot can stay healthy, it'll be all right. Nelson Aguilar had a circus touchdown. The football gods giveth and they taketh. Last week, Lamar threw a touchdown to the other team off of a helmet. This week, Lamar threw a touchdown to his own team off of a helmet. It bounced off of Jermaine Pratt, and Nelson Aguilar happened to look up and see the ball and outrun everyone, front flip into the end zone for a touchdown. That was his only catch, did not receive a target outside of that, which technically that was not even a target. That ball was going to Isaiah Likely, and hell, Nelly just did the thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, 1 catch on an accidental target for 37 yards and a touchdown, giving him 10.7 points. You are not starting Nelson Aguilar, nor is Nelson Aguilar even the 3rd most involved receiver in this group, but he's capable. He only played 41% of snaps. Odell only played 33%, but he did get kind of banged up late in that game, and the Ravens were up by so much, there was no point in putting him back out there. He should be fine. Rashad Bateman, the guy that I said they are ramping up, played 79% of the snaps, only got 2 targets. One was a deep ball that, who was it? Cam Taylor-Britt made a beautiful play on. If he doesn't get his fingertips on that, that is a walk-in touchdown for Rashad Bateman. So hats off to Cam Taylor-Britt on that one. But Rashad's other target, he did catch for a 10-yard touchdown, giving him 8 points. He is a guy that I think at this point in the season, with Mark Andrews going down, is worth a roster spot with the amount that he is playing. I don't see his targets not ramping up. Obviously, in the second half of that game, if you did watch, the Ravens kind of ran the ball a bit more, as they should have, with the backup quarterback in on the other side. You're going to want to run the clock down. You're not going to pass too much. But they have some tough games coming up. The Chargers happen to be the worst pass defense in the NFL. So if there's a week that you want to get your Ravens wide receivers out there, this upcoming one should be it.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, Justin Tucker, great game, 11 points. And the Ravens defense, I mean, if you were brave enough to start them against the Bengals, they managed to get 6 points. But yeah, that is all for that one. I'm glad the Ravens won. One thing I'm not happy about is our Thursday night parlay.
Yeah.
Now, we were fairly confident this would hit, with good reason. We are very close. And very close doesn't win us anything, I know. But Odell, over 26 receiving yards. He gets 116. Smashed it. Gus, I said the touchdown was inevitable. He gets 2. Trenton Irwin.
So close.
We needed 4 catches. He got 5 targets, caught 3 of them.
Right there.
It was there.
Right there.
Keaton Mitchell, like I said, he was negative yards in the first half, ended with 33. We needed 38.
It's right there, man.
It hurts.
Right there.
But you don't win by giving up. So, of course, we got another one for you. We're coming right back at you guys. We got, starting off, Sam Howell, over 22.5 completions. In his last 3 games, he has 39, 29, and 29. The game before that, he had 22. It was against the Giants, but Sam Howell's been on a heater, and I'm pretty confident in him. Next, we have David Montgomery. For some reason, they put his line at 48.5 rushing yards. Now, the last 3 games, he's actually played the entire game. He had 121, 109, and 116. I'm fairly confident he gets over 48.5.
Yeah.
Next, we have Christian McCaffrey, over 31.5 rushing yards. Need I say more? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Greg Zuerlein, over 1.5 field goals. Last 4 games, 4-2-2-4. This is easy money here.
Yeah.
Rashad White, over 26.5 receiving yards. 65, 70, 46, 47 are his last 4 games going up against the Niners. Yeah, it's a bit tough, but the Niners have been vulnerable against the pass, not very good against the run. And Rashad happens to get a lot of volume out of that backfield.
Yeah.
Our final one, Jerome Ford, over 56.5 rushing yards. The Pittsburgh Steelers, on average, are giving up 131 yards per game on the ground. With Jerome Ford getting the volume he's getting, I think that should be an easy hit. Little 6-leg parlay. If you put 5 on it, it should hit for 176. So a pretty good payout. I would not go any higher on this. Like we said, we know how volatile these things are. We saw, Keaton Mitchell get the negative rushing yards in the first half. Trenton Irwin missed it by 1 catch. It's very possible to come up short by a very small amount, which is why we only bet a very small amount.
Yeah.
So be responsible with anything you play. Never play with anything that you can't afford to lose. And with that, we're going to go right into the injury report. As we talked about, Joe Burrow and Mark Andrews are now going to be out for the rest of the season, so that is very disappointing. But on to the Pittsburgh and Cleveland game. As we have talked about, Deshaun Watson will be out for the remainder of this season. We talked about how they're working out Joe Burrow.
Joe Flacco.
I apologize. So we'll see how that goes. As for the Steelers injury news, there's no injuries to report, apparently. I believe on Wednesday, Deontay Johnson didn't practice, but given the fact that there's nothing to report today on Friday, I think he will be good to go. Yeah. Pat Freiermuth was a full participant in Thursday's practice, has also been activated off of the IR. Someone maybe worth paying attention to. If you're tight end needy, maybe someone worth grabbing.
Yeah.
On to the Cleveland Browns. Wide receiver David Bell is questionable, as is Marquise Goodwin. He has a concussion. I don't know why they put Nick Chubb on this list. For the Chicago Bears at the Detroit Lions. The Bears, Deontay Foreman is questionable. He was limited in Thursday's practice with an ankle injury. Khalil Herbert was a full participant in also Thursday's practice, and he is projected to play. So, yeah, the Bears backfield back to being muddled as we love it. Packers and Chargers. Keenan Allen was questionable on Thursday, said he's tending to an AC joint injury in his left shoulder, but intends to play. Donald Parham was limited with a hip injury in Thursday's practice. Gerald Everett was sidelined at Thursday's practice due to a chest injury. So if he's unable to go, then, hey, might be a Donald Parham game.
Yeah.
On to the Packers. Christian Watson was limited on Thursday with a shoulder injury. When is Christian Watson not limited? Aaron Jones limited with a hamstring. What's new there?
Yeah.
The Raiders and the Dolphins. Devon Achane set to play. The Raiders apparently have no injuries to report, which is good because Colton Miller, who was it I have right here? Colton Miller and Dylan Parham were not practicing on Wednesday. So to see that they don't have injuries to report, that is good. The Raiders should have a full offensive line.
Yeah.
Good for Josh Jacobs and the whole entire lot. As far as the Dolphins, Raheem Mostert questionable with an ankle and knee injury, limited in Thursday's practice. Durham Smythe, a guy that we don't care about him, was limited in Thursday's practice with an ankle injury. Braxton Berrios with a hamstring was officially limited in Thursday's practice. Chase Claypool with a knee injury was sidelined in Thursday's practice. Devon Achane was a limited practice on Wednesday. He plans to play. We will see how much. Giants at the Commanders. Jalen Hyatt, questionable with a concussion, practiced in a limited fashion on Thursday. Wan'Dale Robinson, with a knee injury, was limited in Thursday's practice. Saquon Barkley, practice in a limited capacity on Thursday. I did see on Sleeper that they updated him from questionable to healthy, so he should be playing. Darren Waller said on Tuesday that he's still kind of in the early phases of his recovery process.
He's not going to play
we said
again.
before, you could probably drop Darren Waller.
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor said on Thursday that his rib injury is not season-ending in my mind. Okay. Curtis Samuel with a toe, well, everybody has a toe, was limited in Thursday's practice. Antonio Gibson wasn't spotted at Thursday's practice, and I did see Antonio Gibson downgraded to doubtful. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't think he will be playing. Big week for Brian Robinson. Yeah. Cowboys at Panthers. No injuries to report for the Cowboys. Peyton Hendershot was designated to return from the IR. It's Jake Ferguson season, man. We don't care about that. On the Panthers side of the ball, okay. Laviska Shenault was a limited participant, and Hayden Hurst with a concussion was a non-participant. How many tight ends do the Steven Sullivan didn't participate, also a tight end on the Panthers, and Ian Thomas, also a tight end on the Panthers, was a limited participant.
So and Tommy Tremble. So I have 4.
Yeah, good Lord. Mm-hmm. I guess it's Tommy Tremble season.
Yeah.
Not really. For the Titans and the Jags, Treylon Burks is probably not going to play. We saw that concussion in the last game. That was not very good. He was sidelined for Thursday's practice. For the love of God, Zay Jones, once again, limited in Thursday's practice with a knee injury. Let's just go out on a limb.
He's not going to play.
And say Zay Jones isn't going to play this week. Jamal Agnew's out. Parker Washington logged a limited practice. For the Arizona Cardinals at the Texans, Amari DiMercado was limited at Thursday's practice. Zach Pascal did not practice on Thursday. Nico Collins for the Texans was limited on Thursday. Brevin Jordan practiced Thursday. We don't care. Noah Brown remained sidelined at practice Thursday. Okay, now this one is a bit bigger. Noah Brown has been a huge part of the Texans passing attack in the last couple of weeks since he has come off of the IR. If he is unable to go, if Nico Collins does go, that's a huge boost for Nico Collins. Tank Dell obviously gets an even bigger boost. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Dameon Pierce, yet again, sidelined at practice. He doesn't go. Devin Singletary is him.
Yeah.
I'm not betting against him anymore. Bucks at Niners. No injuries to report, at least yet. If we happen to, some of the teams either haven't finished practicing or whatever the case may be. If we do get any injury news regarding these teams that we didn't release in this segment of the video, we will post it on our Instagram or on our Twitter. So pay attention to that. But yeah, nothing for either the Niners or the Bucks yet. For the Jets, Garrett Wilson is questionable, limited in practice on Thursday with an elbow. I don't even know who that is. Kenny Yeboah, the tight end, returned from injured reserve. Okay.
No idea.
Aaron Rodgers said on yeah, I mean, come back when you come back, bud, but we're not counting on that anytime soon. And for the Bills, just Trent Sherfield limited in Thursday's practice. Seahawks, Rams. For the Seahawks, Colby Parkinson was limited in practice with a bicep injury. Tyler Lockett was a non-participant on Thursday. With Lockett, we've seen him not practice on Friday and still play.
Yeah.
I'm less inclined to believe that he will miss the game due to his history of missing practices and still playing this year. Definitely something you're going to have to monitor, though, because um, if he doesn't go, obviously it's a huge boost to JSN.
Yeah.
Nothing for the Rams as of right now. Vikings and Broncos, the Sunday night game. Madison is questionable with the concussion, practiced in a limited capacity on Thursday. That does give some degree of confidence that he could play. Hawkinson, with the rib injury, practiced in a limited basis, saw him get changed from questionable to healthy on sleeper, so he will be a go. Justin Jefferson was a limited participant in Wednesday's practice.
Mm-hmm.
He very well could be playing this week.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's all for the Vikings. Jerry Jeudy was a limited participant due to a hip injury on Thursday. For the Broncos, that's it. Eagles and Chiefs. I mean, we know about Dallas Goedert, but anything outside of that, we're not really going to find out due to the fact that this game's on Monday. That'll be all for our injury report as of right now. Like I said, any updates will come from Instagram or Twitter, I guess X. But yeah, so with that, we will roll right into our morning games.
Yeah, and the first morning game we have is going to be the Cardinals taking on the Texans in Houston, in what should be an exciting game. The Cardinals are actually fairly decent against the pass. They are horrendous against the run, and the Texans are kind of flip-flop. They're solid against the run and pretty bad against the pass. On the Cardinals side of the ball, if you're firing up Kyler Murray, go ahead and do it. He looks electric. He looks ready. It looks like they rested him the proper amount of time and did not rush him back. I mean, he looks like a fourth. When he scrambled for that at the end of the game and got that first down against the Falcons, he looked like a fourth grader that was flying around. But he does look very fast. And other than that, I mean, obviously you have your obvious starts. James Conner has returned. Go ahead and fire up James Conner. We like him in this matchup. He is going to get all of the workload, especially with his only possible competition, Emery DeMarcado, being limited with that toe. So we like James Conner for your receivers. We have our obvious start, which is Hollywood Brown. And then we also like Michael Wilson and Rondale Moore. I wouldn't fire them up just yet, but they should definitely be rostered. Trey McBride is an absolute start in this game. He has absolutely emerged this season, and he is one of Kyler's favorite targets, so I love firing up Trey McBride. On the Texans side of the ball, CJ Stroud is an absolute must-start.
Hell yeah.
Dameon Pierce actually logged a limited practice today. He did not practice Wednesday or Thursday with that ankle injury. That's something to heavily monitor, because if he does not play, I love the Devin Singletary start. But if they say Dameon Pierce is going to play, I just don't know what that workload share is going to look like.
Do you think that it'd still be worth starting Devin Singletary due to the fact, like, you know, he only logged one limited practice this week for Pierce?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they don't give him a full workload. And I mean, even when both of them were in, we saw them start leaning towards Devin Singletary a bit more. So
yeah,
maybe that's just the direction they're going to go for the rest of, you know, in the direction they are choosing to go with this backfield for the rest of the season.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's something I would definitely consider at the very least. Like, it depends what your running back room looks like, or if you're thinking about starting Singletary at flex, if he's your best option there. He's definitely still going to get workload, a good amount, if Pierce does play. And we just saw Singletary be very efficient on the ground. The Cardinals give up 134 yards a game on the ground. So yeah, I mean, I'd feel comfortable still starting Singletary, but that is something to monitor. Nico Collins, we talked about, you know, he's been limited with that calf injury. If he does go, obviously you fire him up. You're firing up Tank Dell no matter what.
He was just upgraded to active.
Nico Collins?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he will be going. So I'm firing up Nico Collins. I'm firing up Tank Dell. If Noah Brown misses, that just helps the other two even more.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm firing up Robert Woods.
No, no, not even rostering Robert Woods. But Dalton Schultz is another guy that I am absolutely firing up. And actually, I picked up, I don't want to say it wrong, but I believe it's Matt Amendola, the
Yes.
Texans kicker, while Kai Fairburn is out.
Yeah.
Kamai Fairburn is out. I do like firing up Amendola as well because I think the Texans
I agree.
offense will score a good amount of points. But that's all I had for that one.
All right. Well, our next one is an NFC North matchup. The Bears heading into Detroit to take on the Lions. The over-under is this one, and Detroit is favored by 8 points. It's looking like Justin Fields is going to be back in this game.
Mm-hmm.
That should be interesting. Bajent hasn't necessarily been the greatest. So, I mean, maybe this kind of revives DJ Moore and gets him back to the place where we wanted him to be.
Yeah.
The Lions have been god-awful against the pass. They are 20th, in fact, giving up 231 yards per game, which, isn't insanely horrible. Like, the Bears are giving up 248, so neither one are good against the pass. They're both bottom tier. But, yeah, I mean, I think DJ Moore, Cole Kmet should be able to get it done this week.
Yeah.
Darnell Mooney with Justin Fields coming back is not someone I'm interested in.
No.
He only seemed to get looks when Bajent was out there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, other than that, As far as the running backs, I'm just going to say I'm on the side of sitting all Chicago Bears running backs this week.
Yeah.
The Lions are currently third against the rush. They are only giving up 79.1 rush yards a game. I'm genuinely not liking. I mean, this Bears offense has not been anything spectacular in the first place. Scoring 20.4 points per game, only passing for 187.7. And I mean, they're running for 135. But given the fact that Fields is back and it wasn't like he got a leg injury, I think he's going to be running the ball more. This is a tough defense to run against. So, the pie, it's going to be a small pie. And if Justin Fields comes back and is taking a large slice of that, I just don't think there's going to be too much left for either of the running backs.
Yeah.
So I'd really prefer not to start them in this. DJ Moore, I'm comfortable with. You were starting him with Badgett. I see no reason not to start him with Fields back. Cole Kmet, I mean, hey, it's a risk, but it's proven to be a risk worth taking. He's got it done. So this isn't a matchup that I'm particularly afraid of, given how much the Lions give up through the air.
Yeah.
On to the Lions side of the ball. They are currently scoring 26.8 points per game, rushing or passing for 267.4 per game, which is fourth in the league, and rushing for 139 per game, which is also fourth in the league. They are performing at a very high clip on all facets on that offense. The one thing I'm not necessarily nervous about Jahmyr Gibbs this week, but given the fact that Monty's kind of the downhill rusher, Chicago is very good against running backs. Chicago is currently giving up 76 rush yards per game. Now, immediately you'd think like that affects David Montgomery's style of running more. I just don't know. It's hard to say what direction that this backfield is going to go in with the two running backs, given when he was healthy, the words we heard Dan Campbell say that, David Montgomery's a guy that they want to give like 25 carries a game. Will they revert back to that? I don't know. I think you're still starting both of these running backs as compared to neither of the running backs on the other side.
Yeah.
I'm, maybe a little worried for their production, but I still think they could have a solid day. And both of them do happen to catch some passes out of the backfield. Jahmyr Gibbs a lot more in that area, but obviously, very obviously, you're starting Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're never once in your life questioning that.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Goff, I like to start this week.
Yep.
Given what they're giving up against the pass,
Yeah.
248, I think that's great. Sam Laporta is an every week start, but this week he happens to be going up against the team that is the worst in the league against fantasy tight ends. This should be, I mean, honestly, I could very well see Sam Laporta finishing as tight end 1 this week with a gap of like 5-6 points. Just how bad the Bears are against the pass, and they are solid against the run. So, and the Lions have no issue flipping the script and passing the ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, that's really about all. Guys like Josh Reynolds, Jameson Williams, I'd kind of prefer to stay away from at this point. But it is a good matchup. So if you want to get a little nasty, hey, go ahead.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'll be all for that game.
Yeah, I mean, it'll take us to our next game, which should be a fairly lopsided game, I would think, is the Cowboys taking on the Panthers in Carolina. Obviously, we know the Cowboys' defense is very dominant, second against the pass, 15th against rush. Carolina's defense is solid against the pass and horrendous against the rush, but Tony Pollard has forgotten how to successfully run the football. I like starting Dak Prescott. You have to start Tony Pollard, and he very well might have a good game, but I mean, we've seen him have very easy matchups and still not have good games. I'm not going to harp on him like crazy. I did it enough after this past week against the Giants where I thought he would have a monster game and just absolutely didn't. But obviously, all the big names on the Cowboys you're starting. You're starting Dak, you're starting Pollard, you're starting Lamb, you're starting Ferguson, you're starting the defense, you're starting Brandon Aubrey. And then we get to Brandon Cooks, who I like more than Michael Gallup at this point. And when we were putting together our parlay, what was it, 2.5 or 3.5 catches?
It was 2.5.
It was 2.5 catches. And I sat there and looked at it. And I couldn't even bring myself to be like, we should definitively say he's going to catch 3 passes.
And it's going to hit because we didn't take it. But if we did,
it wouldn't hit.
It would not.
I don't know. Like, he had a huge game. He absolutely should be rostered. If you are desperate, if you're depleted from injuries, if you have a low chance of winning this week and you say, I want to roll the dice, and if Brandon Cooks goes off, it could possibly win you the week. He does have an insanely high upside. We've just seen it this past week. But he could burn you. If if you have other receiver options that you trust that are going to get you, 8 to 12 points guaranteed, I would say go ahead and do that. I want to see one more consistent week from Brandon Cooks before I feel confident throwing him out there.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And I mean, is it crazy to say when we're talking about the Panthers, Adam Thielen, that's it? And even then, we've seen Adam Thielen be able to be bottled up a little bit, and this could be another game. Like, he'll probably have a solid game. He's going to get his targets, but I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball successfully. I think Bryce Young is going to be running for his life back there from Micah Parsons.
I agree.
I mean, Adam Thielen, I don't trust starting Chuba Hubbard. I definitely don't trust starting Miles Sanders. DJ Chark, Jonathan Mingo, that's it.
This is really not this week, yeah. It's Adam Thielen.
And that's it. Literally.
Nah, yeah, I agree with you, man. It's unfortunate, but it's the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for my next one, I have one that I really don't know, because at this point in the season, I couldn't tell you what the Green Bay Packers are.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my next game is. The Chargers are heading in take on the Packers. Over-under is 44. Or the Chargers are favored by 3 on the road. Chargers are currently scoring 26.6 points per game, 241 passing yards per game, and only 100.8 on the ground. Keenan Allen is an obvious start. We went over the injury report, said he was dealing with the AC joint, but said himself that he's playing. It's good to go. Funny enough, but not surprising, Josh Kelly is currently the leading rusher on the Chargers with 339 yards. Just thought I'd throw that out there. But yeah, the Chargers have been in a position where if they're not playing a bad team, they basically have to score on every possession or they will lose the game because their defense is horrendous. They are currently giving up 23.9 points per game. That they're only 24th, but they're giving up 291.2 yards through the air, 102 on the ground, but they're giving up almost 400 total yards per game.
Yeah.
It's insane. I mean, due to that fact, it's like I look at guys like Jaden Reed and Romeo Doubs on the Packers. I'm not very scared to start them. I mean, honestly, and I just saw Christian Watson just got ruled as healthy. Even Christian Watson this week.
Same with Aaron Jones.
There's a week. Yeah, Aaron Jones too. I'm not afraid of the Chargers defense by any means. I'm honestly, all of these guys, if you have them, roll them out. If you don't have any better options, roll them out. This Chargers the pass defense is horrendous. So, I mean, we've seen Jordan Love struggle, but while he might struggle in this one, I still think the guys can get it done for a fantasy purpose. I think Jordan Love is startable this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's all for the Packers side of the ball. For the Chargers, like I said, Keenan Allen. I got a little sidetracked and got over to because I started talking about how bad their defense is. But yeah, it's Keenan Allen. We know Josh Palmer is on IR, so I really want to say you could start Quentin Johnston.
Yeah.
The Packers are currently 7th defending the pass this year, 187.6 yards per game. I mean, it could be difficult.
Yeah.
It very well. I mean, I think done. Austin Eckler will definitely get it done. The Packers are giving up 133 yards on the ground. So Austin Eckler should have a good week. Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert. I don't know if I could really trust anyone outside of that.
I would agree. I mean, Jalen Guyton comes back from the abyss and steps into what felt like a more prominent role than Quentin Johnston, which is just crazy. But that's the world we live in. Was that all you had for that game?
Yeah.
Well, the Raiders at the Dolphins. This could be the beginning of the end for the Raiders. It's easy on the Raiders side of the ball. You're rolling Josh Jacobs. You're rolling Devontae Adams. You absolutely have to. I am putting Jacoby Myers on the bench for this week. Aiden O'Connell does not get the ball to Jacoby Myers like Jimmy Garoppolo did. I know we talked about in the recap of the Raiders' last game, it was another very underwhelming game for Jacoby Myers. I think his most catches with Aiden O'Connell as the quarterback. I don't want to be incorrect. I believe it's 2. I'll say 3 is the most he's gotten. He doesn't get 5, 6, 7 targets. He hardly gets targeted by him. I can't trust Jacoby Myers. We're getting later in the season. We need guys we can rely on. Beginning of the season, we could rely on him. Right now, Jacoby Myers is an absolute risk. That could burn you and get you 3 points in a game. But, Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams on the Raiders side of the ball. On the Dolphins, I mean, you have to fire your guys up. The Raiders have been 8th against the pass, 29th against the rush. Even though they're 8th against the pass, I'm still firing Tua. If Achan, they say he's back, I'm firing him. And even Mostert. Even Mostert I'm starting. It's the Raiders are so bad against the rush. We made guys like A.J. Dillon look good. These guys are going to look good. They're going to be explosive. Tyreek
Yeah,
Hill,
they are.
Jalen Waddle, obvious starts. Jason Sanders. I think this could be, and it pains me to say it, this could be another week like when the Raiders played the Lions. It very well could be. The Dolphins could come in and
The
just,
Bills, they just
yeah,
don't have answers. Elite offenses.
yeah. I mean, we have Jack Jones now, so.
Hey,
No, it's an upgrade.
hey,
It's an upgrade, but
hey,
yeah, he knows the Dolphins. That's my hope.
he
But
does.
you're starting. It's obvious. You are starting your guys for the Dolphins, all of them.
Yeah. I'll take this into a much less exciting game. The Giants are going into Washington to play the Commanders. The over/under is 37. The Commanders are favored by 8.5. Giants are currently dead last in the NFL in points per game, only scoring 11.8. So, yeah, only they're not even passing for 150 yards per game.
I mean, and they're not going to.
145.6.
Yeah.
Yeah, Giants offense isn't good. Their defense isn't good. Start your Commanders. Start Saquon Barkley. On to the next one.
Yeah. I mean, that's
It's really that simple. If you want to start the Commanders defense, go ahead. But legitimately, don't go taking chances on Jalen Hyatt and
no.
these guys. It's just seriously not worth it. Tommy DeVito is not going to get it done. I don't care how bad this Commanders defense is. Wrap it up onto the next one.
Yeah. Well, my last morning game is going to be the Titans at the Jaguars. Again, we saw Will Levis have a very good first game, and he has come back down to earth since then. This Titans offense is just very bland. This Jaguars team is still a good team. They were very hot coming into that 49er game. They got absolutely trampled. This is a big game for them. I think the Jaguars will show up to play. The Titans, it's just, I mean, the Jaguars have the 30th pass defense. They give up 267 yards a game. They only give up 86 yards on the ground. They are going to load the box against Derrick Henry. And I know Schiff said if you can avoid starting Derrick Henry, it's crazy to say, but I mean, I agree with it. They're going to load the box.
If you have a way out.
Like, it could be a very ugly game where the Titans get down early, and they're in a lot of passing downs, and it's Tyjae Spears out there. There's a very strong possibility of that. Obviously, we're not starting Will Levis. Most people, unless you drafted or played the waiver wire really well, you are having to roll out Derrick Henry. But I'm telling you, it is well within the realm of possibilities that he duds you this week and gives you a very bad week. Tyjae Spears, it's crazy to say I almost like him more fantasy-wise this week just because of his pass-catching ability. Like, he really could get 9-10 and it outdoes Derrick Henry. But again, it's Derrick Henry. Yeah, exactly. He significantly outsnapped him last week. It's just in the realm of possibilities now. DeAndre Hopkins, sorry,
is being I mean, obviously, so he's Derrick Henry. His first 3 weeks, 3.8, 7.5, 4.9. Those were his worst weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had 7.3 against the Ravens and 6.6 against the Falcons. I mean, he's solid enough.
Yeah, no, he is. I mean, I like starting DeAndre Hopkins strictly because he's their real only receiving threat. I assume they're going to have to pass a lot. The Jaguars aren't good against the pass at all. He should get the volume alone. That is solid. But, I mean, he's the only one that I really, I don't even want to say trust on the Titans offense, but that I believe in to have a solid fantasy day. For the Jaguars, I'm sure you may have seen it in your league. Trevor Lawrence is droppable. He's just not that good. There's better QB options out there. Now, this could be a solid week for him, but again, there's just other guys Schiff talked about in the Dynasty League. Sam Howell is more reliable. That is crazy thinking about coming into the season, the hype behind Trevor Lawrence. And he just has fallen very flat. So, I don't know. But I do like starting
It's hard to say.
ETN. Yeah, it is.
Oh,
I like starting ETN a whole bunch. I like starting Christian Kirk. I like starting Evan Ingram and Calvin Ridley. Roll the dice if you want to, but that's what it is. Starting him's like a box of chocolates.
yeah.
You don't know. You just
You
don't.
never know.
The Jaguars
never
defense,
know.
though, and Brandon McManus, fire him up. Why not?
Yeah.
Fire him
Yeah, I
up.
don't see why not.
But that's it.
Yeah. On to good God. This is on to my final game of the week, and I think our final game of the video. We're gonna take a break after this one and separate it into two. But yeah, so I have the Steelers at the Browns. The over under in this one is 33 points.
Dude.
33, and the Browns are favored by 1.5 points. Yeah. Steelers currently scoring 17.3 points per game, only passing for 180.3 per game, and rushing for 103.2 per game. All in the bottom, very, very bottom, like 26th, 29th, 20th. As far as defense, they're giving up 20.2 points per game, which is 11th, and then they're 248 yards through the air and 131 on the ground. Mike Tomlin.
Is he the best coach in the NFL? Like, a serious question.
And I don't think you could say no as a serious answer. Because how do you will this team? How?
They've scored.
This is ass.
Dude, they've scored 156 points on the season, and they've given up 182. They've been outscored by 26 points.
I know.
And they're 6-3.
I know.
Kenny Pickett's thrown like...
Derek, he's throwing for 180 yards a game, and they're 6-3.
He's thrown 6 touchdowns in 9 games.
They're giving up 68 more yards per game through the air and 28 more yards on the ground. Winning. They're giving up 3 more points per week than they're scoring, and they're 6-3. Yes, Tom. It's not even. Mike Tomlin is the best coach in the NFL. This is not a discussion that even needs to be had. There's no reason, no rhyme or reason this team should have a record above 500. But they do. And they'll probably win this week.
Yeah.
Because they're going against DTR.
Yeah.
Maybe he fares better. It's a second start. But as far as the Steelers go, I mean, despite how disgusting that is, who do you start this week on the Steelers? Honestly, I mean,
okay. Only reason I like starting Najee and Jaylen Warren is because Kenny Pickett is not going to be able to throw the ball. He can't throw it against bad defenses, let alone good ones. This is going to be an ugly game. I feel like the only option the Steelers are really going to have is to just pound the ball.
Against a team giving up 91.6 yards per game.
Dude.
They are second against fantasy running backs.
Dude.
That's why I'm looking at this and it's like.
This is such an ugly game fantasy-wise. Oh my god. This is going to be so ugly.
No, seriously. Because it's like in the Guillotine League, I picked up George Pickens with no intention to start him this week. And there's like leagues I have Deontay Johnson in, and it's like,
I don't know if you could start him, dude. Denzel Ward. And what's the other one?
I
Marcus
mean,
Emerson? It's a
yeah,
dog.
I have
Dog.
Tank. I'm starting Tank Dell over him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, but it's just if you are in a position like we talk about every week where you do not have a fallback and you have to start George Pickens, Deontay, they're still capable of getting it done. You have to pray
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to be rough.
Yeah.
You could very well, by every Steelers player you have, finish with under 10 points from each of them this week.
I like both defenses. Both
I
of them.
like both defenses. Yes.
Yeah.
On the Brown side of the ball, though, I like maybe in Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
Sorry, Amari.
Yeah.
You were having a really good season. Amari has 715 yards so far in the year.
Yeah. You want to talk about hurt fantasy teams, dude?
Oh, man.
I had Joe Burrow.
At
He
least
was hurt.
at least you got your get back on me.
I don't care anymore, dude. It sucks.
We're 1-1 on the year.
I had Joe Burrow. He goes
For whatever
down.
that's worth.
I had T. Higgins. He had a hurt Joe Burrow. Was doing bad. He goes down. Joe Burrow starts doing better. T. Higgins is down again. Amari Cooper. He doesn't have Deshaun the whole season. Oh.
Yeah.
Let's cut it. That's it.
Yeah, so that'll be it for this one. Quite a painful ending, but an ending nonetheless. We will be back with the afternoon games, the Sunday night game, and the Monday night game. And if in the time that we are taking a break, we get any injury updates, we will let you guys know. So we'll be back and see you guys in the next one.
Sir.